Welcome back into another edition of Kolby's Corner Live here, coming to you from Blacksburg, Virginia. Having a little bit of Wi-Fi trouble, so hopefully this works out. Q&A style mailbag edition after Virginia Tech lost to South Carolina by a score of 24-11 a day ago in Atlanta. Little rundown, like I said, me and Matei Sis of VT Scoop did a live episode from Mercedes-Benz yesterday, sort of set the scene of what went down. But just after reflecting on it for a day, it's just missed opportunities. Obviously, it was a one-possession game going into the fourth quarter. Virginia Tech's defense really stood up for three quarters, and we'll get into that. But, I mean, the defense played extremely well. I think both teams obviously learned a lot, but I think coordinators learned a lot on both sides of the ball and also just some execution things. So we'll talk about what it means going forward and obviously get some questions. But I think a lot of it yesterday was a tale of two phases. As I touched on right there, the defense gave Virginia Tech a chance. I thought Sam Skifkis passed his debut with flying colors. I thought he ran out the scheme and had the subs and everyone playing really nice. He rolled that out there well, gave him a great chance, especially up front. I mean, you talk about guys like Kamari Copeland and Emmett Law just really, really being dominant along that front. I thought they gave Lenore Sellers a lot of trouble throughout the game. But then you talk about the missed chances, specifically on the other side of the ball with the offense. The self-inflicted errors like the chop block, obviously the red zone interception with Kyron rolling out, throwing it across his body, trying to hit Takai there, getting picked off by Norfolk native Fred J.R. Johnson. Obviously the re-kick, which led to the big punt return. And then just those momentum-killing plays were a lot. And a lot of that's going to fall squarely on Kyron Jones' shoulders. And it already has today, obviously. A lot of the criticism has fallen on him, and a big stat, like I said, when I woke up this morning, or when I guess I really didn't go to bed because I came back from Atlanta that night and checked PFF. When you saw his passing grade was a 90.3 when kept clean, but also 31.9% under pressure. Now, a lot of that was simulated him maybe rolling out of the pocket too early, but he was under duress. Now you're going up against a really dynamic front with Thomas and Stewart and a lot of those other guys. But yeah, definitely not great. A stat that was obviously circulating as well was he was 1 for 14 in plus territory. I mean, overall, 15 for 35 and 2 interceptions, even without that stat, leaves a lot to be desired. It's hard to win competitive college football games when that's sort of the split that you have. Definitely left a lot on the table for someone who's third year going into the program, pretty much as a starter, not really exactly where the development was expected to be. I think he would tell you that it was not his best performance. Now, how will he adjust from that? I still feel confident that it's still single track mind in that locker room, but there's definitely still a lot to take away because 15 of 35, it's just not going to cut it. 42% completion rate, 2 interceptions. Now, I know the one he was trying to make a play, and I know they got the safety right after that, but still, getting that field goal there is big. And on the last one, you understand you have to make a play. It's fourth down. But if you don't get that, if you get that ball better to Aiden Green on the play before, you're in a first down and the chains are still moving. It just seemed like there were a lot of easy plays in front of Kyron that he didn't maximize. I know that'll eat him up, obviously, in film this week. But it's not something that hasn't showed up on tape before. But I think the team still feels very confident behind him and the coaching staff as well. And we'll get into that in the Q&A. Obviously, that's been a massive point of discussion on the message boards, social media today. Offensive line, like I said, we'll do a brief recap and then get into some questions. Offensive line, I thought it was interesting. Not interesting. I mean, we knew coming into the week Jaden Muskrat was going to be out. Brody Meadows had been banged up, and I tried to sort of insinuate on this that Brody Meadows was most likely not going to be available for this game, and he ended up was not. Obviously, not having those two big swing guys sort of caused that top five to play all 75 snaps. And for Virginia Tech saying, thank goodness they all stayed healthy because, like I said, they definitely took their licks against that defensive front. I thought it was an improved group, and they had a decent performance overall. But, I mean, that's a tough front to go up against and dominate. But playing all 75 snaps and getting out healthy, you got to take that as a win. And taking those live bullets, like you think about a Kyle Altuner, that's his first college action going up against those guys. And I know there's a misassignment on Dylan Stewart where they sort of jammed up Hawkins on different plays, but it's sort of really invaluable as opposed to, I guess you could have started off against an FCS opponent and got your feet under you, but to catch those live bullets that early, I think it will be valuable. It was interesting to see that Remack rolled out there at right tackle, obviously drew the assignment of Stewart, and he had a tough day. Like, I mean, that's a tough assignment for anyone. I think, honestly, an NFL tackle would have a tough time with that. I mean, he's an alien. Like, you look at him just body typing there on the sideline before the game. He's just not like the rest of the guys out on the field. It's pretty crazy, him. And we'll get into it with Lenoris and obviously also Nick Harbor, but they have some really, really dynamic athletes out there. So that was tough. Overall, I think the offensive line played well, but pass blocking definitely left some things to be desired. The skill players, the wide receiver usage, I thought Aiden Donovan Green, I thought Takai Heath, albeit the drop, Cam Selden, I thought really the wide receiver showed you some great things. Aiden Green making big contested catches, Donovan Green going up and making plays, Isaiah Spencer down the sideline with a big-time play. They showed some really, really great things, kept Virginia Tech in it, and Drones was giving it to them on one-on-one plays, and they sort of came down with it more than not. But then, like you said, you talk about the penalties, calling back the Aiden Green one on the chop block. It was just a lot of the times they would make a big play and shoot themselves in the foot. And then we talked about those drops with like Takai Heath. Marcellus Hawkins, now that was one Drones probably could have given him a better chance on, but that's a first down, keep the sticks moving. It just seems like they couldn't get out of their way on those things. Also, interestingly, the skill player, Benji Gosnell, played all 75 snaps at tight end. Obviously, it's been well documented that the tight end position hasn't exactly been well recruited past him, but 75 snaps, didn't exactly see the production, had a couple balls skip in there late, but that was interesting to see. And then on the defense, like this is where you can really tip your cap and go anywhere with this. You talk about Kamari Copeland causing chaos all game. Emmett Laws with the big safety. Kelvin Gilliam being a force. Elijah Fall, I think that's how you're saying it, right? Splitting the gap and getting to Lenoris, causing a forced fumble. Really big play in his first game for Virginia Tech. I think they went 11 or 12 deep along that defensive line. They were deep, active, physical all game. They contained Lenoris, I think, to 25 rush yards. They had 4 sacks on him, and that's pretty much all you could do. Now, you saw there in the fourth quarter when things sort of broke down a little bit. He got his. He's hard to get down to the ground and scramble for 3+ quarters against a really dynamic player. And I know there's some narrative going around that Lenoris is like, I think this is a pretty dynamic player that people can agree on. And it's for another context, obviously going into the week, Caleb Woodson was questionable if he was going to play. Over on vtscoop.com, we remain pretty steadfast that he was going to play. Obviously, was benched the first drive, didn't start, but still ended up playing the most snaps among the linebackers. And then back at DB, there were 6+ DBs that saw significant action. We'll see how that sort of shakes out with Dante Lovett, Caleb Brown, some of those other guys moving forward. And then special teams. Lastly, obviously, the punt return touchdown was sort of the jailbreaker, the backbreaker of the day when Dante Lovett was not on the line, illegal formation, and they had to go and re-kick. And Shane Beamer even said in his post-game press conference, nothing good ever happens off a re-kick. And it just sort of seemed like that when the punt team was down on the other side of the field and they had to run back after they wanted the re-kick, and they'd already just run down to the other side, so they had to go line up and go run full speed down again. It just – something didn't look right about it, and then obviously the big Beamer ball play was sort of the name of the game. The field position battle was not really in Tech's favor all day. And then there was just more frustration, obviously, with special team miscues on punt return, kick return, and not really setting themselves up the best. Those are sort of some quick thoughts. Like I said, we did a full live episode from Atlanta last night. But yeah, here I'll get into some questions that were submitted earlier today. First up, does Virginia Tech make a quarterback change soon if Drones can't make the easy throws? Like I said, they still remain pretty steadfast and unanimous that Kyron Drones is a quarterback that gives his team the best chance to win. They like what they have with Pop Watson and Garrett Rangel. But right now, without question, they are still fully behind Kyron Drones as the best quarterback to give them the chance to win. And I know everyone always wants to look to the backup and sort of applaud them, and everyone always wants to back up and sees the backup out there. But sometimes the option that they're rolling with is the best option they have. And I know the performance was tough. It's hard to get behind. It's a big first game in Atlanta. But I think let's see how this Vanderbilt game goes, and we'll get into this. But, I mean, Kyron, like, small sample size, but he's seen a lot of college football. So I think I'll leave it at that. That they still believe that Kyron Drones is a guy. I don't see a change at the quarterback position coming anytime soon. Do you think Pry feels the heat? Seems like this message continues to be we're a good team. We're just a couple mistakes away. Obviously, he can't come out and say we stink, but seems like we've been a couple mistakes away for a while now. Obviously, I think he feels the heat. It's been a proven year. Like, there's a lot of pressure over in that building right now, and they're feeling it from the players to the coaches to the admin. There's a lot of pressure to perform, and he's feeling it. Definitely. I think it's weighing on all of them differently, but there's definitely a sense of urgency in everyone over there. So I think he's definitely feeling it, and he's like, it's just, there's still some things where it's just execution, like you're saying, multiple years in a row now, just not being lined up on special teams and issues like that. So definitely some things in year 4 that you wouldn't expect to be seeing in an opener that are still coming up. So definitely a trend there. From covering the team all season, do you think this will be an angry team this Saturday night? I'm beyond tired of hearing Price say disappointed with the outcome. And like I said, like I think the resolve is still overwhelmingly there from this team. Like, it's an out of conference opponent in Atlanta. They thought they fully were confident they were going to win the game. Like, no one was happy walking out of there with a loss, but they're still carrying this momentum. A lot of these guys on the team were in Nashville last year and still have a chip on their shoulder from how that game played out. I think they're definitely going to be ready to roll this weekend in Lane Stadium. They know what it's been with Power 4 out of conference opponents and getting that monkey off their back. So I think they're still singularly focused. So yeah, I wouldn't concern about it this weekend with any guys buying out after the first game. What's the update on Stewart? So talking about Terran Stewart, obviously wasn't available for week 1 against South Carolina. Sort of heard all week it was going to be close to a game time decision with him. And obviously with Terran, yeah, it was going to be close to a game time decision all week against South Carolina. We'll talk to Pry tomorrow at his press conference to see if we have an update. I would presume he has a good shot because it sounded like he was going to be close for the South Carolina game. But we'll have to see and talk to Pry and see if we can get an update or if we get to see practice this week. Did we attempt to go after another quarterback, one in the portal who was on the board? Definitely did not go for lagging out here. In the portal, definitely didn't go searching for another quarterback one. Obviously, they were looking to rock with Kyron Drones there. Still long term. Having some technical difficulties. So I'm going to cut this one short. We'll catch up with you all tomorrow after Brent Pry's press conference. Appreciate you guys hanging out. And sorry for the technical difficulties, but back to regularly scheduled program next week.